What's good, Ohio Cannabis Report family? Gerald Moore Jr. checking in. And I'm just a tutorial on the between hemp and turn my background on. Let me turn my background on real quick. All right, there we go. So people, the difference between hemp, so hemp cannabis, right, which is this, which is from the homies over at Columbus. Percent THC, farm bill client. So that's hemp right here. In the comments, let me know too in the comments what you guys think. You know, what's the difference between hemp, and then we have shout out to Ohio. Here's some more. But yeah, I think it's, you know, continue to educate the community, especially in Ohio, as it's still something new that's been legalized, but obviously folks that have been on the legacy market for quite some time, you know, we don't feel the need to educate, but we have to understand that there's new people coming into this industry that this industry before, right? They don't understand terpenes. They don't understand the difference between CBD, hemp flower, and stuff like that. So I think it's important that, you know, as folks that have been in the industry, you know, it's not just about smoking, right? Like, obviously, we love to consume. We love what cannabis does for us. But now is also a great time to educate the community on this beautiful plant and all of its benefits, right? You know, hemp too, you know, I think the important thing is that we have to start really having the conversation that cannabis is more than just, right, getting high, right? It's more of a health thing. You know, nobody complains about anybody taking Tylenol, right? So cannabis is, to me, is like Tylenol, right? This is berry blossom too. I forget which strains the high THC stuff is, but it's like 3 different strains that I got. Purple joint get me right though. I'm mixing some of this CBD flower into the high THC flower because the goal is homeostasis, right? Balance. And having CBD also balances out the THC, which can give you a fuller high. Now, I consume cannabis as a person that's dealt with PTSD. Just the lifestyle that I've lived growing up in a underserved, underprivileged, poor, working class family, but also being an athlete that has dealt with a lot of physical stress on the body, and then obviously psychological, emotional stress, because again, playing sports at a high level, even though people think, oh, you're just having fun. Like, no, this, you know, if I didn't play college ball, would I go to college? You know what I mean? Would I have been able to afford college? While we seeing everybody complain about, oh my God, my student loans are starting back up. Well, guess what? 16, 17-year-old me was like, I don't want student loans. So I'm going to do whatever I have to do to sacrifice to not have student loans. And look at this, 10, 15 years later, one of the best decisions I made in my life was busting my ass to get a full ride to college, because seeing people complain while also like flexing that they got a good job or they're driving a car, living in a certain type of lifestyle, it's like, bro, a lot of you niggas is paying back student loans. And again, like, I'm not fully away from student loans. My wife has student loans. And I'm as American as they come. Like, I'm always trying to find the lick too. So I'm like, yeah, don't pay them joints. But again, this is just a quick roll-up session. I like to do cones because cones are really easy. I mean, I'll smoke joints, I'll do whatever, but cones are just way easier, way simpler, especially for somebody like me. I'm always on the go, always moving. And it's nothing to just break down some tree, pack that joint. And I usually make a few cones, so then I only have to do this once every blue moon. This little joint. I try not to pack it too tight. Also, to those people that say, well, you can't consume cannabis and be a high performance athlete and work a job or take care of kids or play sports. Look, this is from my senior year of high school, 2007. All DC sports fan. Gerald Moore, St. John's College High School, second team defensive back. And I would have been first team, but we gave our all-star running back somehow got all MAC defensive back, and he played literally maybe like 10 snaps at quarterback. You know, we know how politics works in life and sports. So again, cheers. Also, if you're in Ohio tomorrow, Wednesday, May 7th at 9 a.m., room 113 at the Ohio State House is the opponent. There's another hearing, the third hearing for HB 160, which is looking to get the issue 2, adult use and recreational cannabis laws that 2.7 million people voted in. Basically, the Republican GOP, a lot of them are saying that the Ohioans didn't know what we were voting for, X, Y, Z. No, they just see the money now and they want the money. So yeah, testimonies are tomorrow for opposing testimony. I will be there. Probably I'll show up a little late because I have to make some drops. But then we have that at 9. And then there's also a community, what is it? The terminology is escaping me right now. But at the library at 4 p.m. to like 7 or 8, we'll be having a community town hall. Town hall, that's the word. Community town hall tomorrow at the Columbus Metropolitan Library, main library off of Grant, 4 to 8 in the auditorium. So this is a great time to come to connect with other advocates, lobbyists, influencers, entrepreneurs. Hopefully there are some politicians that are able to make it, so legislators. So tomorrow's going to be a long day. You know, if you're willing to show up, I'll be there again for the I'll be at the State House as quick as I can get there, and then I'll also be presenting, and I may be on a panel at the town hall tomorrow. So definitely come through. Definitely come chop it up, say hi. I love meeting people that I connect with via internet or social media in real time. Like, I'm a real person, like, so I like to actually match a face and a name or Instagram handle to the actual person, which I was able to do this past Saturday. Went down to Appalachia, Athens, Ohio. They had a community home grow event, which was amazing. This is where I got this product from. It's where I got the hemp products. So shout out to Hempstead or Heartbeat Homestead Hemp. They are, let me see their location if they have it on here. You can find them at www.heartbeathomestead.com. So make sure you check them out for sure. You know what I mean? Like, this is a great group of people who I was able to meet and connect with. They really care about the product. It's craft product, so they really pour their heart and love and passion into the flower. Let's see. So it's distributed Heartbeat Homestead, Rutland, Ohio. So if you want to contact them, grow at heartbeathomestead.com. Allergies. Now go ahead and also make sure you guys go to our YouTube as well and watch some of our content. We've been putting up a lot of content. Make sure you subscribe to our feed and hit the notification bell so you are able to get all of our notifications whenever we go live. I'm about to go ahead and switch over to the screen. Let's go about 60. All right, so this is the information on House Bill 160. So this is Brian Stewart, District 12 Republican, who brought this bill. So revised liquor control, hemp, and adult use marijuana. So it's in the House committee. Let's see. Committee. So it's in the Judiciary Committee. The April 2nd, 2025 was the first hearing. This was the proponent testimony. Here's that. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can play this.
Chair Thomas, Vice Chair Matthews, Ranking Member Isaacson, thank you for hearing my testimony on House Bill 160, which adds more specific guidelines for the sale of marijuana and similar substances, while maintaining the overall will of the voters who voted yes to legalize adult-use marijuana in Ohio. I want to acknowledge and thank Senator Huffman, who is leading Senate Bill 56 and Senate Bill 86, which tackle marijuana and hemp separately, for all his work and the insight he brings to the table on this topic. House Bill 160, however, merges marijuana and intoxicating hemp to be regulated and sold the same way, through dispensaries, not gas stations, per the will of the people. As I previously said, this bill retains the core provisions in Issue 2, including the approved levels of home grow, with no reductions in the number of allowable plants of 12 per adult in a household, and the existing tax rate of 10% to keep adult use marijuana users from resorting to black market products, or worse yet, traveling to Michigan. House Bill 160 also responds to concerns raised by Ohioans since the passage of Issue 2 by prohibiting adult use in public spaces, the marketing of products to children, and the manufacture of products that are in forms appealing to children. The bill also allows Ohio's employers to enact drug-free workplace policies to keep their workplace safe. Additionally, House Bill 160 closes a loophole that presently allows intoxicating hemp products such as Delta 8, Delta 9, and THC beverages to be sold in gas stations, and too often, to minors. These products are almost indistinguishable from marijuana and should be treated the same as the product that Ohioans voted to be sold exclusively through state-regulated dispensaries. Simply put, if it gets you high, it should be sold through a dispensary. As the sitting Ohio House Finance Chairman, of course I'm going to talk about taxes. House Bill 160 continues to respect political subdivisions which voted to authorize dispensaries, and justify that vote to their constituents, based on current law that allows those local governments to receive a share of tax revenue to cover foreseeable upfront costs of planning for these new Businesses. This bill provides that local governments will receive 20% of the revenue from marijuana sales for a period of 5 years, after which time any hypothetical upfront costs will have already been incurred and paid, and the carve-out can be rescinded. Also, to help preserve the legislature's power of the purse, House Bill 160 will direct the bulk of the tax revenue from marijuana sales to the Ohio's General Fund, where it will remain subject to Ohio's elected leaders' determinations of where those funds should be spent in each biennial budget. Finally, as the views of Ohioans have shifted on the issue of marijuana, our law should reflect that. So, House Bill 160 will also provide an expedited pathway to expunge prior convictions for marijuana-related offenses. I want to thank Speaker Huffman, our policy staff, and my legislative aide JT Isseldike for their help in getting this drafted. I believe it is a reasonable compromise and good policy for the state of Ohio. I will now take any questions the committee may have.
So yeah, that's that was the introduction of that bill to the State House, again, April, by this guy right here. On the screen again. And it's important we put faces to what's going on, right? This guy. So, being a lifelong resident of Southern Ohio, I have the experience and understanding to work on behalf of the great people who make up our communities. So obviously this bill that he's doing, it doesn't seem to be for his communities. Let's see. Ohio House concurs on transportation budget. Rev. Stewart introduces bill updating Ohio's marijuana laws. Let's read this story.
Columbus, State Representative Brian Stewart, R. Asheville, today introduced legislation that updates Ohio's marijuana laws and addresses the issue of intoxicating hemp. House Bill 160 preserves the legal adult use marijuana provisions approved by voters in Issue 2 in 2023, while also adding needed protections for Ohio's children. House Bill 160 respects the will of the voters by preserving the core, adult use marijuana features of Issue 2 while adding reasonable protections for Ohio children and addressing intoxicating hemp products that violate the spirit of that ballot initiative, said Rep. Stewart. Clarifying Ohio's marijuana law. House Bill 160 includes various provisions that clarify the law as it relates to adult use of marijuana, including combining the marijuana adult use and medicinal use provisions in the same section of the Ohio Revised Code, clarifying the adult personal use of marijuana on residential parcels, rather than just inside a residence, permitting the sale of pre-rolled products, maintaining home grow allowances in current law but prohibiting the cultivation of home-grown marijuana in halfway homes and recovery houses, eliminating the Cannabis Social Equity and Jobs Fund and program promoting public safety. House Bill 160 includes various provisions that work to protect children and promote public safety, including limiting the sale of intoxicating hemp products to occur only in licensed dispensaries, enhancing protections to ensure adult use products do not provide false or misleading advertising or target products toward children, reducing THC potency levels for marijuana to 70% for extracts as other legalization states have done, while maintaining the 35% threshold for plant material, continuing to permit an employer to prohibit use of marijuana and make appropriate employment actions based on an employee's use, possession, or distribution of marijuana. The bill also permits a person who was convicted of or pled guilty to a marijuana possession offense involving amounts now legal to possess under the law to have their conviction or guilty plea expunged. Additionally, House Bill 160 maintains the current tax rate of 10% on adult use marijuana. However, the bill requires tax receipts to be disbursed to the General Revenue Fund, GRF, with 20% of receipts dedicated for the first 4 years to local governments that permit adult use dispensaries to operate within their jurisdiction. House Bill 160 will now be vetted through the committee process.
You got any video?
On a scale of 1 to 10, how cool would your kids say that you are?
Oh my, 7. I'm optimistic 7.
What movie has the best ending?
Heat, Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. It's on my wall.
What is a hidden gem in your district?
A hidden gem in my district. Goodness, there's so many hidden gems. Hargis Lake is just outside of Circleville. Beautiful lake that a lot of people, even Pickaway County, sometimes don't realize is there.
Which district would you like to visit that you haven't yet?
Oh my. I could always spend more time in Cleveland. I like going to Cleveland as a Southern Ohioan.
What is your favorite Johnny Cash song?
Johnny Cash, I own 52 albums. I'm going to say the Man in Black.
What made you want to join the military?
I was a senior in high school on 9/11 and changed the whole course of my life, and wanted to do my part in the wars of my generation.
What was your favorite homemade meal as a kid?
Favorite homemade meal? Chicken and noodles, and my grandma she made a strawberry jello for us every single Sunday for like 20 years.
Did you meet your wife?
My wife was a client of my mother's hair salon, and so was home on leave from the Army, and walked in to see Mom, and my wife was in the chair, and I made sure to have a conversation with my mother afterwards about who that was and what her number might be.
What's your favorite meal you've made so far on Stu's Kitchen?
Oh boy. I am a big spaghetti and meatballs guy at the moment. And I have also, probably the most impressive technical thing I've done is a potato-based gnocchi. And I felt like a real chef after that one.
Andy Dalton or Joe Burrow?
Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow. I'm a big fan of the Red Rifle, but it's filet mignon and the hamburger. Yeah.
What made you want to become a legislator?
I like solving problems. I like being able to come up with an idea and have the ability to actually, try to get that idea passed. If you have a good idea, something that bugs you, something that you think could work better, the legislature is a good place to be.
What was your dream job growing up?
Stand-up comedian.
Is there a specific motto you live by?
Specific motto. Acts 2:25, and I foresaw the Lord always before my sight, for he is at my right hand, that I may not be shaken.
A lot to unpack there, ladies and gentlemen. So that's the guy who introduced HB 160, who wanted to be a childhood stand-up comedian when he wanted to be a stand-up comedian when he grew up. Served in the Army, all of these things. So again, you're trying to restrict cannabis, you're trying to restrict home grow, you're trying to restrict the people's will. Very interesting. Very interesting. What's good? I don't know who's on here, but thanks for joining us. Just going over some stuff. I did a quick roll up, so I had some nice product. If you miss me smoking a real something. Let me see. I'm just trying to do some more background research on these politicians real quick. But again, let us know what you think about what's going on in Ohio. Obviously, Ohio is a large state. We have 11.8 million people, 2.7 million people voted for issue 2 to legalize adult use, recreational and regulated like alcohol. Obviously, I don't think that was a good connection to regulate cannabis like alcohol, but I think it was the easiest way to get the actual law approved and in. And so right now, nothing has changed, right? I think a lot of people will get confused in politics because most people don't follow politics. The laws in Ohio have not changed, right? Issue 2 was voted into law. Adult use, recreational, medicinal is still legal in Ohio. It is still legal in Ohio to grow 6 plants per adult in the household, up to 12 plants. The politicians, the legislature said that police can't do anything until it's over 23 plants. And so again, the laws are still the law. What they're trying to do right now is amend the law. They want to change the law, right? Part of issue 2, 35% of tax revenues were scheduled to go to local jurisdictions, municipalities, cities, townships that have accepted dispensaries into their locations, right? So I live in Columbus. Columbus has probably like 8 to 10, maybe even more dispensaries. And so when people go to spend money at those dispensaries, they are taxed. That tax revenue is supposed to go to those local communities. for whatever the local communities deems necessary, whether that's roads, sidewalks, education, addiction services, jobs, reentry, getting folks back out of jail and out of prison, getting them healthcare services, but also helping them get back on track. And so there's a lot of things that this bill would hurt. And typically it's going to hurt low income, poverty, working class folks, right? It also wants to give the right to employers to be able to fire their employees if they fail a drug test, right? And so we know as cannabis consumers, cannabis can stay in your blood, in your body for weeks, months, right? And so you could have smoked a month ago, a couple of weeks ago, and let's say you got a little bit of weight on you, it's going to sit in there. And so you get drug tested, and they can basically, fire you, and then it won't allow you to receive your unemployment benefits. And so there's a lot of things going on in this bill that, is very much in between the weeds of, poor folks. And then it's also going to cut out tier 3. So right now we have tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Your tier 1s are your larger cultivators and growers and dispensaries. So the tier 3 is supposed to be for, those people who've been most harmed by the war on drugs, to be able to get them into the cannabis industry, right? So a portion of that social equity and community jobs fund is to go to helping folks get licenses, because the licensing is expensive, but also helping them build out a dispensary. And so, again, they want to take that away. One of the proposals was to let it go for 5 years and then take it away. You know what I mean? And I don't believe it should be taken away at all. What else was this one? Let's see. So this is why it's important that people show up, testify. Even if you write an email, even if you do a tweet, whatever, just be public. A lot of people are afraid to be public, and I get it. I'm a public figure, though. You know what I mean? So my life has always kind of been broadcast, right? As a football player, being married to a news anchor, like shit's always out there anyway. So it's like I might as well do it myself instead of letting somebody else craft a narrative. Like even my wife works on the news, but she doesn't create the news, right? There's producers, executive producers. She has somebody that gives her the go ahead. It's all production. This ain't production, right? I decided to prop up my computer, roll up, and say, let's go live, maybe on YouTube, and share what the people need to know. Because they're not going to talk to you like this. They want you to be politically correct, right? I'm not politically correct. Football ain't a politically correct game, right? And so you want me to play football and go knock somebody's head off and then be normal? I'm like, no, I'm crazy. Let me see. So I already read over this, but I wanted to go see. So combining the marijuana adult use and medicinal use provisions in the same section of the Ohio Revised Code, clarifying the adult personal use of marijuana. Oh yeah, and they want to restrict it so you can only use it in your home, kind of like a medical program. Right now, we can combust pretty much anywhere, and so they want to get rid of that. So you can only do it at your private residence. But obviously in Ohio, we already have a housing crisis where we don't have enough housing. And then most people are living in apartments, right? So most people don't own their homes. So again, when it comes to home grow, if you're renting an apartment or a townhome or even a home, you probably can't participate because maybe the contract that you signed with your landlord doesn't allow you to, right? A lot of apartment complexes are non-smoking. So again, you can't combust. Obviously you can, but you run the risk of somebody telling on you. You run the risk of, obviously losing your security deposit. And again, typically low income, poor folks. So these revisions to this bill, it's not going to hurt wealthy people, right? The wealthy people are already the ones that have been growing weed in their homes, right? In the privacy of their own homes, because who's going to come check a mansion in Upper Arlington, right? Who's going to come check a $300,000, $400,000 house in, let's say, Bexley or New Albany or Westerville or some of these suburban communities that a lot of them have moratoriums against cannabis as well. So again, this is going to hurt poor people the most, right? These revisions. And so I'm speaking up on behalf of poor people, working class people, even though I'm a nonprofit president, even though I'm a COO of a for-profit company, even though I have my own corporations and stuff like that, I understand who's being harmed the most. And I'm not ignorant enough to say, even if I hire people, I know people are going to do whatever. You're going to drink some alcohol, you're going to have some wine, you're going to have some tequila, some bourbon to unwind, right? You're going to smoke a cigarette, you're going to have a pouch, you're going to do something. You got a headache, you're going to take some Tylenol. Cannabis provides an alternative to these pills, to alcohol. I don't really drink alcohol. I may, on a special occasion, having some fun, I may have a drink or two. You know what I mean? A beer or two, an old fashioned, what have you. When I was in college, I was lit, right? But I'm older now, and my body doesn't break down alcohol like it used to. You know what I mean? And so for me, and I've seen enough evidence. My grandfather was an alcoholic. My dad doesn't drink. But alcohol causes over like 7 types of different cancers and stuff like that. Obviously, people talk about combustion of cannabis. There's a lot of different ways of consuming cannabis. You have edibles, you have tinctures, you have transdermal patches, you have topicals, you have vapes, you have stuff like So, there's a lot of different ways to consume cannabis. You can still vape flower. So, I'm a fan of, however you choose. I like to combust because me being who I am from my culture and community, combustion is more of a communal thing. It's more of a ritualistic thing. You know what I mean? And so I appreciate being able to feel the bud, going through the process of, making a cone or rolling up a blunt, rolling up a joint, or being in a circle with a group of like-minded individuals, passing a joint in rotation, right? There's something very communal, very spiritual, very welcoming, and that's what the cannabis community has always been about. We are not about exclusion. And obviously, if you've been paying attention to Ohio, all about exclusion. Rich, Christian, white Christian, because I'm a Christian. I grew up in the church. You know what I mean? And I don't believe the same things that the Christians or white Christians and how they move, right? I've been around them long enough to see how they move. And so, again, it is what it is. But just like the legislator said, a lot of people like to quote Bible verses, and God don't like ugly, period. You know what I mean? So you could quote all the Bible verses. You could go to church every Sunday, and it's still a lot of wicked, nasty folks carrying that Christian, Jesus, Bible loving. No, y'all are racist. Y'all are sexist. You're arrogant. There's a lot of things, you know what I mean, that God wouldn't appreciate about y'all. You know what I mean? And I'm somebody, I humbly become before the Lord every single day. I live my life in prayer. You know what I mean? I don't feel the need to have to go to church every Sunday to let people know that I'm a man of God. No, that's not how God works. You know what I mean? I'm also not going against other people that believe in other things from other cultures, right? Like, I'm not the one that say, oh, my religion is the right thing to do. No, I have a lot of issues with the Christian church and religion. Trust me. Especially when it comes to how we treat people. You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't have to claim yourself to be a Christian or go to church for me to accept you, for me to treat you like a human. Right. And I also understand what the Christian church has allowed when it comes to slavery, the enslavement of my people. Right. But I wear the badge of Christianity almost as a badge of protection because, again, we live in this wicked, United States that, if you're not Christian, you Muslim, they going to try to do something to you. You know what I mean? So you got to play their game with them. So, it's amazing to me to see like the lack of people involved in the political stuff because it's not that hard. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a politician. I'm not a lobbyist technically. Like, I'm acting on behalf of a citizen, right? I'm just a citizen. And I think more people have to understand their rights and privileges as a citizen. You can leave work and go testify. Just like, if you're going to vote, right? Voting was today as well in Columbus. You're allowed to go vote. You're allowed to use your First Amendment right. right? Like you're allowed to use your rights to speak, to share your personal testimony. Nobody's telling you, like even in this cannabis stuff, I'm not telling in the car. So if you want to say something, if you want to add to the conversation, go ahead. It's only one of y'all in here. So again, I just make this content to build out our another YouTube platform as well. Kind of migrating everything over to this. Go ahead and roll up another jump real quick. Hope everybody's had. It's been ran like straight. Obviously, we had a drought just last year we were in a drought, so I don't mind the rain. Obviously, it'd just be gray though. Go ahead, pack me another joint for later on today. And for me too, like a lot of people don't. It's lazy. Like a lot of people, oh, like cannabis makes you lazy. No, if you're already lazy, you're gonna be lazy with or without cannabis. You know what I mean? Like I'm lazy, but is it laziness? Like a lot of creatives are lazy, always thinking of solutions, working, they're always doing stuff. You know what I mean? So even how y'all like to consume, what strains y'all like. Typically an OG person. I also like I'm more indica leaning. Sativas can definitely trigger my like anxiety depending on what's going on in my life. I'll do a sativa typically if I'm trying to go work out or do some. I like vapes. I like tinctures. I've tried trans my ankles, a lot of soreness, old football injuries and stuff like that. Cannabis really helps side of things, mental health, just stress, anxiety, depression. So cannabis definitely has helped me with that. Health. Cannabis really just slows you down, right? It allows you to filter out, allows you to relax, not take things as serious. I feel like so. I've always kind of been like I've been a fan of cannabis since I was about 17 years old when I first started consuming. So it's always been something that I very therapeutic and healing. Big clouds. So yeah, let me know what y'all like, what type of products y'all like. If y'all in Ohio, what part of Ohio are you in? Where you tune in from? We always like to know where our fans and friends are and viewers are tuning in from. I'm gonna hit one more bowl and I'm gonna go get me some lunch, baby. This is my salad for today, though. These are my greens. All right, y'all. Tuning out. Again, tomorrow, 9 a.m., May 7th, 2025, at the Ohio State House, which is the People's House, aka the People's House. That's our crib. So that's tomorrow, 9 a.m., room 113. Be there, be square. I'll probably be later than 9 for sure. Definitely be later than 9, but I'll be there. Again, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Columbus Metropolitan Library for the Ohio Cannabis Town Hall. I'll be presenting. I'll also probably be on a panel as well. So again, thank you all for the support. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. Thumbs up. Make sure you share the content if you like it. Let us know if you want more, what you like, what you don't like. Well, peace and love. Blessings.